Welcome back for Game 3. Before we get into it, Riot Games' first global sponsor hooked up some of the attendees in Busan with free swag and upgraded seats today as a way of saying thanks for being a MasterCard fan of the day. Now, that accolade went to Tae Hyung Kim from Ulsan, Dean and Joshua from Washington, D.C., Marsha from New York City, and Busan native Min Jun Yoon, who all made the trip to see some of their favorite pros compete today. I love to see the support for all of the teams across the board in this group, in particular as we move into this all-important matchup for Team Liquid. Mad Team suffering that loss there, unfortunately, cannot make it out of the group stages. But as we saw with PVB yesterday, they can still very much have an effect on the results for the rest of the teams in the group.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is already do or die for Team Liquid, knowing that Edward Gaming is at 3 wins. TL needs to win their next 2, even to force a tiebreaker, and that's if EDG lose to KT, so pressure's on.
Maximum pressure for Team Liquid. No pressure at all for Mad Team.
This is the prime time.
We have seen this before, as you already said. Typically, the team with no pressure, they go out and play a little bit loose, and that can be scary in a best of 1.
So let's get some thoughts out there for both of these squads. What I want to know is for each of these teams, and we'll start with Team Liquid, what is the one thing, the single most important change you would like to see these teams make from what we've seen of them so far coming into this game? And Frostgren, we're going to start with you, Team Liquid.
I need Ale on a comfort pick. Now, we saw what a difference it makes when he's on something like an Alistar versus a Rakan. I want him to grab hold of the Thresh. The NA casters keep whispering things to me. This guy's a god-tier Thresh. Thresh looks so good in the meta right now. Put him on the Thresh because support is so important for the hard engage, and Ale needs to be able to step up and be that hard engage for TL.
All right, taking a look at the bot lane and Ole here. Deficio, what are you thinking?
Looking at full comp, most important thing for me, do not get outscaled. I think for Team Liquid, the only way you lose to Mad Team is if you try and draft for early game and you fail to execute it, and then Mad Team in late game team fights can actually beat you. It's how PvB shut down Flash Wolves yesterday. I don't want to see that today, so do not get outscaled.
Are you liking a draft somewhat like EDG's just now for Team Liquid?
I think that makes a lot of sense because then you're trying to rely on double lift, and Mad Team have shown that individually they're not matching some of the other teams.
All right, and Jat, what about for you?
I think Xmithy needs to be on a ganking jungler. Also have to note that Mad Team has subbed out their jungle for Benny, so it's going to be a new look for them.
Yep.
But you can still have a ganking jungler and a good late game composition. They just need to have some type of proactivity in the early game and ability to respond if the other team gets aggressive.
Jat said it. For Mad Team, Kongya's out, and we've got Benny coming in. So same question down the line, but with this new information, how does that affect your thoughts around Mad Team?
This is crazy because I was like, support the jungler. The jungler is their best player. Everyone get behind him. They subbed him out. And I'm like, Benny better show up right now if you want to play Blue Shell. So I guess the same thing, but...
Right. So yeah, it's the same idea. You're just asking for a different person to execute on it. So the unfortunate role for Benny is to
Hashtag
get
believe
that
in Benny.
Well, I mean, it kind of works for mine at least. Most important thing I have is you need to pick an early game jungler because Mad Team's biggest problem is the laners will not win on their own. So when you have teams like that, you need the jungler to be strong in the early game so he can be that bridge where you go from laning phase into team fighting later. If your jungler, however, is doing absolutely nothing, if you can't gank anything, you typically just fall 1 to 2k behind and you're already in a disadvantage before the first fight. So Mad Team, I need an early game jungler that can do something to get you to late game.
Early game jungler with a mid laner that can help support that jungler. Jat, what are your thoughts on Mad Team?
I think they need to play their game. That's what we say about all of these teams, and that doesn't necessarily mean pick Evelynn and Singe, because sometimes your game is to be a standard 1-3-1. Or if you're for Team Liquid standpoint, your game is to play around bottom lane and stabilize the other 2 lanes. That can still be your best win condition, and I think even though it hasn't worked for Mad Team yet, that doesn't mean that other things would have. So I think they should stick to that. 1-3-1 style. Ezreal could be an okay pick, and I want to see him just give it another run.
I mean, okay pick. It seems to be Breeze's only pick. And he did do well that last game in a lot of those team fights. Unfortunately, it felt like the rest of his team really collapsed.
And to be fair, there were 2 ADC bans thrown in that second phase from EDG, so there was maybe an opportunity for him to reach for something else, but yes, he goes back to the...
I mean, he could try and go for Kai'Sa earlier, you know, if you want to get a scaling AD carry for him. Regarding the 1-3-1, I think it makes sense when you want to try and play early mid-game, but I'm very concerned if they go for that style that they won't win late-game team fights, which to me is the strength of this team and was the same back in the LMS. Like the last game they just played against EDG, the Irelia pick as an example, I think it's very hard for them to fully carry in big 5-on-5s. And they do split up in 1-3-1, but they always group together when they actually want to do something. They don't win the game in side lanes. So I'm almost like, Give me a pure, hardcore team fighting comp. Hope that TL cannot match you there in the late game and just get to that late game and have your AD carry.
Back over to TL, one of the criticisms we had for them in the first game of the day was not taking advantage of their windows of opportunity, particularly around the Nocturne pick. But just in general, I think that's a concept I want to explore more.
Yeah, I mean, I think their biggest weaknesses have been in the setup for team fights and then in the execution of team fights. Because when they have a poor setup, they're not ad-libbing well, but they're also not having the first setup, so it's like a chicken or the egg type thing. So I think there's some merit to what Deficio is saying there, is if you're just drafting a good team fight composition, since TL hasn't had good team fights on stage, that could be a way to beat them.
And I want TL just to kind of get down and dirty with it. Like, this is actually a really nice softball game, if you will, to warm up, because it's only going to get harder from here, and it's only going to get more intense from here. You know that Mad want to fight you. TL have been struggling with the team fights. Like, don't pull any punches. You want to see the early game jungler? I want exactly that. But I want them to actually engage. Going back through, watching their VODs, there are so many windows, and maybe this is from the lens of, like, the LPL caster, where we always lean forward, but, like, he should flash right there. They should go all in. Why aren't they
And
fighting?
not flash back, by the way, forward.
Exactly, forward. And
Sideways.
I just want some of that bloodlust, and I see some of those windows in TL games, you know, particularly around these dragon setups, the fact that they're prioritizing going to the dragon and starting it, as opposed to setting up for the fight, making the bait, and then taking the dragon. Be a little bit more LPL and be a little bit more blood hungry.
But I think if you want to be a bit more LPL, the main thing missing, and it kind of sticks a little bit what you said and also what you're pointing out, is you need all 5 players to be a little bit more like LPL and actually all think, hey, we are going to fight this Drake, so we all need to be there. If you watch the replays of the games, like, they go to Rift Herald when Xmithie's on the Raptor camp, and they start the Rift Herald with the AD carry, and you're just like, wait, hang on, you're clearly not right here on the same page. Xmithie's thinking farming, and Double is thinking objectives and fighting. So I need all 5 of the players to actually agree. Either you all 5 play defensive and, like, scale, or you all 5 say we're fighting, we're going for it. If we say Rift Herald, we're not saying, hang on, guys, let me just kill this camp back here. No. You start walking towards it as a team, and then you go for the engage and the fight.
Final thoughts here before we head out to the game?
I think that for TL to make this day interesting, they have to win here. Because if they lose here, then the game that's interesting is only game 4, because that's for first seed.
I was going to say there's potential to deflate the day, but if Team Liquid picks up the win, well, then there's still plenty of possibilities. Time to see who comes out on top as we send it to the casters for Game 3.
Thank you very much, Dash. We are ready to get into game. Mad Team will be subbing out Kong Ye, and he's going to be subbing in Benny in the jungle. So a little bit of a change there. We did just see him on Kong Ye on the Poppy, trying to be a little crazy on that. So we'll see what Benny can offer to the team.
Yeah, and I think that this is a substitute potentially for that experience factor. We talk about it a lot, but as we mentioned, this is a team that now is playing Upset, is playing Spoiler. See whether Benny can come in, breathe some life into it. Maybe he's a quicker jungler and can impact that early game, because we keep saying these games look okay. Then they fall down to the mid game, it goes super late, and they just get outscaled, out-team for it. So want to see if they throw caution to the wind, pick an early game comp, and just try and pop off.
I think you should. I mean, also, you know, for Benny, it's nice to be able to get on stage, get some of that world stage experience. Certainly one of the biggest events he will ever have played at. And, you know, you have that opportunity to really show up big, to have an impact on the event. Get out of the group or not, you can make an impact. You can make your name known.
You can kill Impact, take down a world champion.
Certainly
Top
could be the case.
Top tie, indeed.
I think from a Liquid point of view, I want to hit on what the caster, on the analyst desk was saying.
Okay.
Some of them calling for early game and fighting. Some of them calling for late game and fighting. I like how it rounded out. Just get on the same page, because this team does not look as cohesive as KT or EDG right now, because what KT looks like is like the most polished team in the world, all on the same page. Then you got to step down. EDG just look like they're on the same page, but then they kind of just do whatever they want. They kind of fight. They kind of look for objectives. TL look like they have the right ideas, but there's just too many ideas going on. So it's a little bit of a different feel for me. So I just want some cohesion to build into that Edward Gaming fight.
And that's something that Doublelift talked about in his interview. He said, hey, you know, if we had all been doing the same thing, if we had all been on the same page, it would have been easy to beat EDG and KT. And while I don't think it's easy to take down either of those teams by any means, it certainly will look a lot better if TL can get it going on the same page.
Because they do have the individual pieces. Ole, when he was on Immortals lineup, was a dangerous support. Doublelift for his whole career, whether it was from Curse, you know, Epic, wherever he has been, and he's been everywhere, has been a dangerous AD carry. You know, even flashes of brilliance out of Xmithie and Impact so far. You know, say what you will about Pobelter's gameplay. I think that this is a team that has the weapons. They just have not been able to fully utilize them on display.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And at least for Pobelter on the LeBlanc game, he was trying to make moves. He
He
was
looked good
trying
until
to
the
be
last play of
proactive,
the game.
where Mata just completely outplayed him. And that's something that was, you know, felt more of an outplay than a misplay, right? That was just incredible stuff from Mata. But, you know, he had the roam to top side, trying to get a kill there, the fight around Dragon. He was trying to make moves. He was trying to be proactive. And, you know, community criticism or not, whether he is as strong as some of the other mid laners or not, does not matter. You have to play your game. You have to play it with confidence if you want to have a chance of getting out of this group.
Team Liquid now selecting possibly the Braum. Maybe bring the Ornn into the composition later so it can't be blocked out, and Impact could have something nice on the top side. They're already looking at a Thresh, so that possible engage from K around the map and heading around with Benny could be a thing. And the advantage for Mad Team. Still waiting on that pick. It could be a Hecarim. 17 seconds left on this hover.
Certainly possible, but you know, when we think about the last game, TL against Mad, it was one that TL had a massive advantage in and took very late. They certainly took their time to close out the game, and it's one of those situations where maybe they are more comfortable playing just a team fight scaling style against Mad, knowing that, hey, pound for pound, they have stronger players. They should be able to take that style of a game, and the question then becomes, you know, if you're going to play something different against EDG, should you not maybe be warming up and trying to stay aggressive, trying to play that sort of style? Because we saw them kind of try to up the tempo a little bit against KT with the LeBlanc, with the Aatrox, and if they're trying to slow it down and play a more measured style against Mad, it maybe doesn't prepare you for your next game.
Yeah, it certainly could be the case. I also think that there is windows that you can try and get aggressive in this draft. Maybe you go for something like Illusion. You play Lucian Braum, then the top side of the map plays facilitated to that. Things like Ornn able to collapse around the map very well. And I think that, you know, they're going to give you a medium range comp down in the bottom lane. We just see Sivir Thresh locked in, so it's not like this is a bad lane for Lucian to be able to go into. So Team Liquid can show something different in this draft. It could be all scaling. This could be a Kai'Sa or a Xayah, but I would like to see whether Doublelift does go back to kind of more lane kingdom.
I don't think he'll go the Lucian. He hasn't played it in a really long time.
That Jhin.
And I'm not sure if he's willing to risk, you know, if it goes bad and you get outscaled. I think, you know, this is what I was expecting, seeing you have the Ornn, you know you're going to have that knock-up, apply the Plasma, you can follow up with that ultimate there. But they are going to be looking for the scaling playstyle. That doesn't mean they can't make aggressive plays. That doesn't mean they can't still be proactive, but they are trying to secure the late game with this Kai'Sa, with the Ornn and the Braum, and we'll see, you know, if they can get a similar lead to the first game, how they look in closing it out.
Yeah, and I think red side comp is really important for Liquid right now because we did say see Uniboy kind of fall down in some team fights, had some moments of brilliance, had a couple of whoopsies. Liang also able to have some good, impressive plays, other times not able to thread that, maybe going a little bit too deep. So I think that both of these teams do have volatile solo lanes, dropping their priority, trying to protect them a little bit, I think is a wise move.
You know, the other thing you have to always mention is the fact that Mad is not playing in Ezreal now. They are playing this Sivir that can have that incredibly strong late game.
Yeah.
And if you play too passive, you give Breeze that time to scale up, you give Breeze that time to get going. Hey, maybe that can backfire on you because that Sivir really is such a massive threat. Once you have your 3 items, you have that IE, the ricochet damage becomes massive.
Well, so far, passive is not in the books on that Mad Team composition. Following up on that Nocturne with On the Hunt, they want to stay synergized. They want to stay on the back of those engages. And now that we have our second phase of bans done, the Camille Sion from Team Liquid at Mad Team, and Jungle for Smithy hit with Kindred and that Shin's out.
And I want to see him go back to something like a Gragas here. I didn't think that the Skarner really worked out all too well. Olaf on a similar vein. I just think that Smithy needs to be the up-tempo player, the person that gets on the map, has presence, and forces the pace for the TL lineup.
Yeah, I tend to agree. You know, generally his early game pathing is really intelligent. You know, people kind of talk about him like a score light, you know, not as talented of a player, but a similar style of play. And I do think that that can work very well because there's not a lot of guys who are often super proactive in the early game. So if you don't have Smithy on someone who can find those level 3 ganks, those intelligent early plays, then often for TL it becomes very, very passive. And that's where I'm going to be interested to see if they go for another skill matchup here for Pobelter. Syndra was locked in. LeBlanc is open. He could go back to that if he wants to play aggressive, if he wants to try to make those plays and have a strong game for himself.
6 seconds for Mad Team to lock in. I wonder if we would see a Mundo in the top lane, and we'll keep wondering as Jace is locked in for Leung. And it looks like they'll also get a Syndra in the mid lane. So gotta go fast for the side of Mad Team, but they have a pretty immobile mid laner. What's the side of Team Liquid's final pick up here, leaving that last pick for Pobelter in the mid lane? And it could be that LeBlanc, he's putting out the damage on this event.
Yeah, once again, skill matchup probably going to be locked in for Pobelter. It is, so we'll have some windows to play around that. I do want to point out now that with that Jace pick, they've kind of fully committed to winning before the 30-minute mark hits. I mean, this is a composition that either runs you down, gets ahead, does more damage than you, takes everything off the map and wins, or kind of just falls off a cliff as soon as Ornn becomes an unstoppable force on the front line with Braum.
Yeah, it really can be tough. And I feel like you have to have a really strong early laning advantage because post 6, it's so easy for people to come up there and the Ornn just ultimates onto the Jace because Jace needs to have Ornn under his turret, pressuring that turret, and that's exposing yourself to these ganks.
Not only that, if Impact has a spellbook on, so many times you just see tanks swap ignite or exhaust, just charge into them, slow them down, take them out solo. You can bring Smithy in. Iceborne Gauntlet is a great item for Ornn, synergizes really well, and Jace's starting health pool is not very high, so there is certainly windows for Impact to outplay this.
Definitely is, but that being said, if Leung can get that advantage in the 1v1, be pressuring turrets, perhaps TL never gets a chance to get to that team fight stage. They could get peeled apart.
We will have to see. About to be on the Rift as we head down the lineups. Mad Team versus TL is Mad Team looking to play a bit of spoiler here on the record book for TL. And a position TL has been waiting to be in all year. They have fought to be on this world stage. They need to fight to get out of groups. It has not been easy for them. And we've heard from the team, they are struggling to do so and produce some results.
And this is the heat check game as we are about to get onto Summoner's Rift because we've just seen Mad fall to EDG in the fashion in which they did it. The deciding matchup potentially in this group will be Team Liquid versus EDG. So now we get to see how the teams stack up. What measure that we look at, bottom lane in that game. Breeze and K looks good. Can Double Lift and Ole replicate that? Can Impact build a similar lead against Liang in the top lane? So many interesting questions as we get into this game.
You really have to think, for TL to have a chance against EDG, they need to start building their confidence. You want to have a game here where not only do you win, but you look really good doing it. You have the individual outplays. You have that team supporting each other, getting pumped up, getting excited, because I do think you need to be playing on that higher level as you're going into any potential elimination games and any potential really, really tough games.
And that's why teams like Vitality have been so impressive this world, because they just come in, they say, we don't give a damn, we're going to play our style. They're loud, they're in your face, they're able to continue that hype, that momentum, and it has to be generated somewhere. Doublelift is one of those players that has had so many international failures, hasn't been able to generate that success. He would even in his own mind be thinking, is this me? I'm going to all these different teams. I'm not able to do it on the international stage. At what point is it my shot calling? Is it my leadership? So I think even on the individual player level, they just need to start believing that they can accomplish this.
And that's kind of what Doublelift said, is that they're focusing on individual performance still at points in this game, which means they're not focused on the team. And that's a split mentality they cannot have right now.
Yeah, it really isn't. And again, on the side of Mad, these guys are eliminated, but they're playing for pride. And, they can be a team here, wants to make their mark. Well, how about eliminating the first seed from North America? You win here, they can be completely out of contention given an EDG win over Mad, right? It doesn't even have to matter about that TL versus Mad matchup. So certainly EDG would be very much so cheering for Mad.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that this is kind of different to other elimination games because in the past, you're like, go out there, show your individual brilliance. But I do want to see if this team can come together. And they've picked a hard composition to be able to do it. But we've seen individual brilliance. Kongya not in this game, Benny going to be subbing in, but he's had some good games. Breeze and K, they've looked good on the stage. They've been windows from the solo laners, but it just never come together. This is a hard comp to do it, but if they can get an early mid-game rolling, potentially can show some of that class.
Definitely potential there. It's also interesting to note that this is a Conqueror Jace. You almost always see Airy, I feel like. Airy is certainly the most common by far. This tells me that it feels like he really wants to hard commit to split push. He wants to be able to continue that advantage further than just the early levels. Having that true damage from the Conqueror to be able to kind of perhaps have more of a potential for the 1v1, and they'll be interested to see if he builds more heavily for that 1v1 as a result.
Impact able to stay in lane, get a few more items for himself here. Slowly leveling up as he's pushed into that 75% mark on the wave. Having a few minions denied here as he's at the turret. And the Young's doing a very good job at being aggressive on that top side of the map. You may see Xmithy soon.
And this is the thing that they have to be able to do. They have to be able to build waves and repetitively crash them. That means there's a threat of the dive. That means Xmithy is going to have to continue to think, maybe I need to be top lane on this big wave. I need to secure impact farm. If he doesn't get it, he's not going to be able to stand up in the 1v1 of the split push. So if Liang doesn't hard shove, but if he continues to build, last hit, harass, take away those health potions, it will continue to mount pressure on the tank player in the top lane to be able to turn this around.
Yeah, and there is always the potential, if you can get that Ornn low enough, even if Xmithy shows up, maybe you can pull off a 1v2. Or maybe the Nocturne's there for the counter gank and it just goes so bad for TL. So really going to have to track him and his performance in this game.
We see the stopwatch for Impact coming up there, so he is knowing that he's going to be getting a little bit of pressure just before or around that level 6. As we head back down to the bot lane, 27-26, all even on the home front here, as Ole and K try to get a bit of brush control and control the lane. Relic for K as well. I don't usually see that on Thresh, but it'll be a bit tanky.
And I think it's because, you know, there is the opportunity for those windows of aggression. You know, Ole leaping onto a minion, trying to take you out. Still some good burst damage coming out of the Kai'Sa at this stage of the game. Actually saw Uzi pick up so many first bloods on the champion when he was playing it on turnaround gangs. So interested to see actually even more damage goes across, where the TL do try and accelerate the pace through the bottom lane.
Yeah, and I think they are doing a pretty good job of getting that harass down. Another potion was just popped by Doublelift, but you know, Breeze is not playing Fleet Footwork. He is playing Lethal Tempo. He's been getting poked pretty heavily. He has no more potions, so he's going to have to be fairly careful. You take too much more damage here, and maybe having to just head right back to base.
I was going to say, they're trying to keep that lane pushed as much so Doublelift can't get it to the turret, and he is taking quite a bit of damage for it. Benny and Xmithy going to meet each other in the jungle, so that knowledge is now privy to both teams. A quick blast cone over. And nothing's really going to happen towards the bot lane on this. Mid lane still pretty even, 42-39. I think it might be a little longer before we see that level 6 come up for Benny. He's 5, as well as Xmithy.
Yeah, you can see Pobelter got the push, so Xmithy just wraps around now and wants to try to contest for this wave. Uniboy's just staying mid lane, though.
And that's really nice coordination coming out there as actually Hook comes out and they go for the fight.
Teleport down on that bot side. Should be Breeze coming back in. A quick boomerang into the brush, and they'll get a quick damage trade on that. K going quite low, though. They're not coming up with the result they wanted.
He does pay for it with his flash, but that completely disrupts the base timing there of TL. Doublelift and Ole never got to go back to base. There's already Breeze back with a BF sword, so Doublelift makes the call. I'm going to stay in lane, grabs those honey fruit from the lane. He's going to have to try to farm it out, which is going to mean you can't really go aggressive onto this marksman.
And Sivir is one of those oppressive champions that if she gets a base on you, she makes you play against the wave. You never even play against the Sivir anymore. She just repetitively pushes into you. If you try and harass, she just gets mana back. And so what I think they're going to try and do is stagger the recall, because whilst she can do that, she still can't really dive you at this stage of the lane unless you tank so many skill shots. So you can see they send Ole back. Now all of a sudden on the next wave, they can send Doublelift back. Ole can try and catch that, maybe even hold it off turret and see what happens.
So does anything need to happen on the bot side for Mad? Actually, stuff happening on the top side as the Ornn Horn comes off. They get a good hit onto the Young. He goes straight onto Impact, very low, and they're actually going to lose Xmithy right away on this one as Benny comes in real fast. Paranoia just coming up. And I don't think TL expected it.
And we mentioned the fact that there could be a counter gank potential. Benny reads it like a book, knows that they've changed it around to the Ignite top lane. Impact goes aggressive, but it is a Mad team lineup that punishes it.
Yeah, as you said, read him like a book. Impact hit 6, Xmithy is 6, but Benny is in range to respond to this, and it starts out very well here for Impact. He gets the knock up, the Ignite is down, he hits the ultimate as well. Everything looks like it's going to be a free first blood, but Liang simply jumps over right onto Xmithy. The axe does not commit, and he flashes out. Benny comes in and kills off Xmithy, which means Impact doesn't have enough damage in the tank to get a kill.
Yeah, and the big thing there was they got very greedy because that was a teleport back to lane. They thought if they can chunk him out now, this carry is going to be useless. So let's go to the first play available. Didn't really check for where Nocturne was on the map. That's something that normally Smithy is commended for in the North American LCS, but maybe just rushing the play, looking for it a little bit too early, not getting that vision out, and it comes back and it bites him in the bum, to the point now where Impact, without summoner spells, actually still has the flash, but going to have to be a little bit more careful in that top lane. Oh! Bottom lane's still rough, though.
Well, I mean, you are certainly taking the worst end of the trades as the team of Mad. They have been kind of losing in that regard, but, you know, they're up a couple farm. It's basically just dead even, and they're going for the all-in.
Airborne K is back onto the ground to flay out as he goes
nice
back.
hook.
Oh, beautiful hit on to Doublelift. That's going to deny a bit of damage, but is it enough? The shield comes back up, and he's still going to fall. Doublelift now steroids himself into a great position with that movement speed, and they get the kills on Mad's bot lane.
The beautiful plays there from Doublelift, saving his ult to the last moment, completely baited Breeze in. Breeze passes forward thinking, I can finish off this kill, but heal is still available. Kai'Sa ultimate is still available. And they get the kills on the bottom side, playing aggressive with the scaling picks, and they're going to be able to take a dragon as well.
And Smithy forced another play in the window where Nocturne ult wasn't available. That is the intelligent play that you want to see out of your jungler. They look for a steal, very nice door coming out from Ole. And this bottom lane all of a sudden, you know, 2v2 kill, jungle participation at the last moment, but certainly would have had it regardless, and showing that they are still a force to be reckoned with.
Smithy hovering around towards mid. Looks like they'll take a moment to figure out how Jimmy Boy's going to answer on this. And Benny actually throws down the paranoia, thinking they were going to get ganked on the mid side.
Yeah, I think Benny thought when he saw the double distortion, Pobelter's committing. They're going for this kill, and
We'll see what happened by.
yeah, here it is one more time. They know K has no flash, remember? Off of him stopping their bases, he committed his flash. They say, all right, let's go straight for the thresh. But then a beautiful hook from K looked like it might have been able to turn it around.
Yeah.
But you have to notice Doublelift saved the heal, still has ult.
Yeah, it certainly does. Uses it to create the maximum distance away. They fight away from Benny, so there is no chance for a turnaround kill. K was a little bit tankier than I think they initially suspected, so it became maybe a riskier play, but you can just see the class of Doublelift standing up tall in that 2v2.
Volcanic Rupture start here. We'll see if he can get Leung with a good bit of damage. Form change.
Yeah,
Oh, wait for Smithy.
Smithy is spotted out. Benny does not have his ultimate though, and Pobelter is roaming, and this could be dangerous. This could be the potential three-man dive.
Scryer's Bloom hits Pobelter. Ornhorn comes out. Lian doing his best to get out of this one in the 3v1. He gets knocked down before he can lay out the hammer. Pobelter picks that one up.
And he thought he had the CC to interrupt the knockup, but it was buffered earlier by Impact. That's just a very well-crafted dive.
If at first you don't succeed, try again. And TL just going to go straight back up to the top lane. Didn't work with 2. How about with 3? You know, Impact at this point is actually up farm on the Jace. The Jace has not been able to significantly pressure the turret, so it's going to get very tough for him as Impact picks up more and more armor.
Resources a bit towards top, but vision for TL focused towards the bot side of the map. So Pobelter, Doublelift, and Ole can stay safe while Smithy gets these roams on. We said he had to be active. We said he had to start doing things for Team Liquid with that experience in the early game, being such a veteran for the team.
And this is one of those games where, you know, you can look at the draft and you can say, I can see what they're doing, but when it would have been only a Kai'Sa and really LeBlanc as damage threats, you know, not all that much AD picked up, you really do start to question the Jace pick because it hasn't had all that much success in the early game. If he was on something, you know, like that Mundo and was able to just frontline, would this be more of a successful team fight? Because you feel like Mad has really put themselves on a much steeper clock this time around.
They certainly have, but I think, you know, at the end of the day, they're already eliminated. You want to take your swing, right? They have not had success against these teams in the later stages of the game.
Show other teams why they should be afraid of you.
Exactly. You know, take that swing. Leung on the Jace, if the early game goes really well, if he can get that advantage, hey, that's a way that you can win. That's a clear win condition, whereas their team fighting has just not been of the same class of some of these other teams. So I can respect the attempt, but as you say, it does give them a very narrow win condition, and it feels like, you know, that's closing a little bit.
I'm liking this crescent of vision. TL is able to protect on the bot side. It allows Smithy into the face of Benny.
Okay.
How far does he really want to go in? Ragnarok is on. Oh my God, doesn't matter if they don't have crowd control. They have the follow-up damage. Benny grabbing a kill on Xmitty.
And you say you like the crescent of vision. Well, I'm pretty sure they knew that Benny
They saw
and Kay were rotating to that play. And if the jungler sticks around for that long, like, what else are they going to do, Smithy? Once again, just a baffling play out of the jungler of TL.
Got step 1. That was seeing him. Step 2 is reacting.
Working on step 2 for the time being.
Well, I had to break it to you, boys. They better, like, really cram for this exam coming up, because
It's
a couple
true.
of games' time, they're going to have to take down EDG if they want to get out of this group.
Yeah, EDG's coming to this thinking, didn't really let a turret down. We were on Mad right away. They weren't able to really get anything back, and they're finding the sore spots of where TL is having these open windows where Mad can attack, Mad can get back into the game. We'll see bot lane here. It's TL going a little too hard.
Yeah, I mean, I think Smithy just felt, hey, I have the ultimate. They are not going to have enough damage to burst me down, but that was obviously very incorrect as Kay hits the hook, Benny ults in on him, and they just straight up blow him up through the ultimate. So well played and the good punish by Mad, but as the observer showed us, that was spotted. Kay was seen on the ward roaming up. That was, fully in vision there for TL.
That was an interesting play from Smithy, unfortunately. However, it still is going to be a TL gold lead. They're not transferring any of these kills into objectives. None of the lanes are going all that poorly when you take a look at the CS. Mid lane up a little bit, but then 80 carry as well as top lane for TL, certainly standing tall. So certainly had worse laning phases. They haven't passed the test to me of getting on the same page, making their proactive plays. The top lane dive was great. That's what you want to see, but then all of a sudden that invade on the bottom side, that's a bit janky. So you can see once again, why there is doubts about this team.
What is that next move? Seeing that they've kind of lost that vision towards the bot side, do they focus Uniboy? Do they focus again towards Leong on the top side? Where should TL go next?
I mean, it's hard to say. I think for now, they are pretty happy just farming even, despite the fact that, yes, they have made some mistakes. Similar to in the EDG game, you definitely favor what they have built for themselves in the later stages. I think it is hard for Jace to team fight up against this, and if Jace can't get an advantage in the side lane in the 1v1, which he hasn't, well, then you have to kind of team fight, and that's where it can get really rough for them, so...
Hooks on.
Oh, what a
Nice
nice
pick.
prediction hook from Kay. He throws it back in, expecting Ole would try to escape, and they get another kill. This one for Uniboy now. They have great participation across the board on Mad Team.
And whilst as a Jace, it is great if you can generate your own lead, there is a situation where this Sivir just starts knocking down turrets quicker than you can keep up, open up the map, and then all of a sudden Leong just has to be able to do this against Impact, which with his kit doesn't really change at any stage of the game.
Yeah, certainly the case. I mean, if the 4-man squad can get advantages, well, then all you really need to do is just hold Impact in the top lane, make it so Impact can't roam and actually join those plays. And, Benny, Uniboy, and the bot lane have been able to make some things happen.
Beautiful scatter on the distortion coming in. Uniboy dodges out, and quite a bit of damage is a lot more resources now put around that Raptor area of Mad and Pobelter's mid lane.
And I love preemptive flashes because you get hit by the skill shot, you make the mistake. Sure, it's going to suck for you for the next 5 minutes, so you have to play without that cooldown, but you're still in a laning phase, and it's better than giving Pobelter a kill, allowing him to snowball the game even further. Potentially also costs the Dragon here, but you have to pay the price if that is what happens.
Totally agree. There's far too many times where you do see those late flashes, the death anyway, and then you've certainly lost so much.
Oh.
Kay may have overextended here.
Kay is not Kay. He gets on the hunt from Breeze, but the crowd control is already locked down, and so is Kay. Breeze left alone on bot side. 4-3 now in favor of TL. Double lift, a little bit of a speed steroid to get the plasma shots and passive on to Breeze, but he can't pop it.
Yeah, a couple of good proactive plays there, though, from TL. Pobelter getting priority in the mid lane. They transfer that down, getting a dragon. Kay really shouldn't have come over to even check, though, because great, they're on the dragon. What can you do about it? Your mid laner isn't base. Benny's not around. There's no attempt to really challenge for it, so just give that up. Instead, he gives up his life. Now means there's pressure on the bottom side of the map.
You can see, however, that they don't want to do anything with that pressure. Instead, they just run away, trying to keep the lanes. I would think if you're TL right now, the longer the laning phase goes for without turrets being broken, the more confident you are. They have got some damage on your turrets, but until they fall, that doesn't really mean anything. The worry is if now you don't decide to push for first turret, you don't try and break up the laning phase, if Mad pick up a kill or a skirmish somewhere and start knocking down these structures, because all three of them are below half health, then it becomes a very rough mid-game to try and contend with.
Yeah, it's definitely the case, but Doublelift, they're going to look for the fight. TP coming in.
Breeze took a bit of turret aggro. Impact coming down as well as Leong. He's on the turret. Impact's already into the fight as they can't see a thing from Benny's ultimate. Horn goes off just as they get sight, and they're going to be on Decay. He comes back up and might be going back down, but he gets himself out safely with a flash.
And another great preemptive flash. They cancel the teleport. Leong now can stay top lane. They're going to take a second turret for themselves. This is now an open map for the Jace to be able to go to work. TL, however, with a good teleport, will be able to answer bottom lane. Breeze in trouble.
Dark passage to the light for him. K keeps him safe, and they're going to try to get damage down now onto bottom turret first, and second turret in favor of Mad here, as they are just all over the map before TL can get to their position.
I really did like the defensive ultimate from Benny there on the Nocturne as well. Mix things up, kind of make it very hard for TL to have the right communication, have the right vision to go forward, and Breeze is going to go straight for the Rift Herald now, TPing over to it. K is already over there. Pobelter is looking to push and try to punish here. The gold is still even though, and you know, Matt is doing a good job of kind of trying to stay proactive and knocking down some of these turrets.
Herald going to be so important here because mid lane has just become a jockey back and forward for position. You can see TL trying to use their superior numbers to pressure out the turret. However, if they grab Rift Herald, they should be able to counter-attack this in response.
Quick cleanup as the Visions push forward on the bot. Mad kind of gives up that top side, but are the grab Rift Herald. We'll see where they use it. As Team Liquid continues to absorb the resources of Mad Team Leong, just getting himself to safety as he changes forms for a bit of movement speed.
And so much of this gold lead right now would be just sitting on Doublelift. You can see that he's at about 8,000 gold. He's 1,100 up and has been able to do a great job. Scatter the Weak lands, ultimate out.
Lose the target. Leong can throw down the gate, and now they can move a little bit faster with the On the Hunt. First bit of damage isn't good enough for Mad to really want to continue.
Yeah, really well absorbed there by TL, but they're using this to try to preempt the dropping of the Rift Herald to try to go for this turret, and they should get the charge. They will get the turret, but in comes Impact.
Outer ring of turrets down in favor of Mad. Xmithy trying to get in from the side. Horn comes out. Paranoia's not there to be used this time, but it doesn't hit anybody. Breeze has the first hit. Beautiful job by Pobelter. Ignite goes down, and he gets the assassinations rolling for LeBlanc in the mid lane. Leong's forced to run bot side. Pobelter over the wall with the distortion. He'll head back as the team wants to get a little more pressure on the map rather than fight.
But that's a much better idea of how to play the team fight by Team Liquid. They absorb the first blow. They don't fight over the turret this time. And then a great timed rotation from Impact allows them to pick up the kills. I think this is more of what we want to see, the mid to late game execution seeing much more clearness.
It certainly is, but credit to Matt, have knocked down 3 turrets by 20 minutes. Very well done to move around the map, knock out all of those outers. That being said, Doublelift is on his 2 items now. The Nasher's completed, and he is going to start getting very, very scary at this point in the game. Matt is going to have to be very clean on their execution in the team fight, because if you cannot knock Doublelift out at the start of the fight, once Smithy and Impact are in the face of the Mad team carries, Doublelift can then follow up and dive in on that Kai'Sa and really start to dish out some damage.
And these aren't the hybrid bruiser top lane jungle. You know, this isn't going to be a Black Cleaver. This is going to be full tank on, full tank Olaf, run at the Sivir, see what she can do. She's not going to be able to build IE third, most likely, because she's probably going to have to go for a last Whisper item. Breeze could just get sacked every game.
Yeah, it could be really tough for him. And, you know, we asked the question earlier with the Conqueror for Leong, would it be about a full 1v1 build? And it certainly is looking that way. You know, we see a Blade of the Rune King being built towards that is much less about the team fight, that is about staying relevant in the 1v1 against Impact. I'm expecting that to just be followed up with a straight-up Lord Dominik's. If you want to be able to 1v1 this Ornn, that is going to give you the best chance to do so. Ooh, nice scatter.
Unity Boy trying to set up the Dark Spheres if they have to get an Unleashed Power out. They're just trying to find where TL is here and there. This game's sitting on a nice edge as well for both teams, and I'm sure TL has the pressure on them right now. Great damage from Pobelter as he starts to relieve a bit of that pressure, but I don't think they consider themselves to be at an even portion of the game, 20 minutes in with Mad Team.
Uniboy has to be careful, and now it's on to Leong.
Young looking like he's in a bad spot, tries to get the hammer down onto Pobelter. That kill going over to Xmithie. They get a little more free time in the middle of the map, but can TL start to push the advantage forward?
And once again, it's these cheat rotations without full vision of where you're heading to that is costing the Mad team as now they go top lane.
Killer Instinct onto Breeze, and goodbye. That's a cool one across the face of Doublelift as he picks up another kill.
Doublelift making it look easy there. 1v1 kill against Breeze. Breeze steps up. No business being that aggressive in the 1v1 against Doublelift. If K is not there with him, he cannot stand up, and it's going to be not only his life, it will be another turret going the way of TL. More gold being injected into Doublelift here, and you can see he's going to be working towards the Zhonya's very likely, which not only is it very good at preemptive ultimates on the Nocturne ult to deny that, it works great against Syndra and that ultimate, so here it is one more time, sneaks into the bush, looks for the plasma.
Yeah, it just gets the invisibility. You can see ultimate comes out of Breeze. He can't run away fast enough. No flash available. Doublelift post summon as well. So that was pretty much a clean solo kill. Also has himself just 70 CS, if you do not mind, gentlemen, in his back pocket. And, I mean, probably the best scaling AD, AP / hybrid marksman, whatever Kai'Sa
Assassin,
is.
hybrid, marksman,
tank,
mage, wave clear,
like,
tank.
everything else in the game right now.
And we were wondering, what AD would he pick in Champions? Like, what could it be? Oh, yeah, it's the Kai'Sa again. It was up. 24 minutes in, mid turret goes down in favor of Team Liquid as they start to push and encroach those wards a little bit farther forward now to figure out what Mad Team has in mind.
And it's always fun to put teams under the microscope as potentially Pobelter looking for it.
Ooh, the double distortion, good damage onto Breeze. They can't really see where their target is, but it doesn't matter. The Ornhorn absolutely walking all over Breeze to take him down.
Yeah, that's a strike for impact.
man.
And TL gonna go over to the Baron, really turning up the pace here. We asked for a clean game from them, and now getting this Baron should be theirs very easily. We'll see if they can secure it.
There's a blue orb. Can they get anything into the pit to allow Benny to go forward?
Pobelter, scatter the weak, beautiful job by Uniboy. Baron's still going to be in the favor of Team Liquid, but now they're getting chased out of the fight, and Mad Team is not one to give up that position. J-Skate a little too far back for the speed up they needed, and TL will get away, losing Pobelter.
And instead they're going to look to push out some waves, but really that's a great collapse towards the Baron for TL. They keep 4 members alive. Pobelter doesn't really burn anything, although he goes down, so got to say this mid-game looking pretty good for the North American squad.
Yeah, looking really good. And while it was a very nice kill from Uniboy onto Pobelter, that's both summoners down. There's no one to protect you from the Ornn ultimate, so now Syndra becomes such an easy target in the next fight, and this is Pobelter setting it up. Breeze gets very low, and then look at that damage coming through.
I just love that it's all the tank initiation that they throw at him. You know, you got yourself a Kai'Sa, you got an Olaf, but all the long-range initiation ults just pegged at the ultimate of the AD carry of Mad.
And everybody's trying to help. One of them saying, I'll break the shield, you get the CC. It's all in. An all or nothing right now for Team Liquid. 3K gold lead as they're still on Mad's side of the map.
Now I really want to take a moment to kind of look at the game state. Certainly TL very heavily in the advantage, has the Baron buff. Remember how quickly we saw KT close out the game post Baron buff against TL. You want to see how well can you do from this advantage? How much are you going to push the base?
Yep.
Because this is similar to the kind of advantages they did accrue in their first time against Mad, and there was a lot of criticism towards how long it took them to actually close it out. There was an interview as well with Pobelter where he was talking about, yeah, anyone can see we took a lot longer than we needed to close out that game, and I would love to see them try to do this a little bit more cleanly, a little bit more quickly than they did the first time around.
Yeah, and I want to see whether it's through a force or whether it's through, trying to push all 3 lanes and kind of the decision-making process that TL go for. Because you could argue right now, if they just group up as 5, there's no flash on Uniboy, there's no flash on K. This is a pretty easy to execute dive, given the fact that Impact is just a super tank on the front line, but you can see that they're playing it a little bit more standard. They're just jockeying for position around the map, trying to isolate matchups and take all of the standing gold.
Yeah, exactly. Grabbing all of those outer turrets, moving down to the last one. They have the waves pushing in their direction. You can see Xmithie pushing in mid, Pobelter's up on top, and the 3-man squad here looking to pressure up onto this turret. Here they go.
Ornhorn comes out. They break the spell shield over onto Benny. They're going to try to get him first. A good hook from K, but it is quickly disengaged. And now the health bars of Mad Team are just being wiped away. as the paranoia slows down TL for just a moment, but they'll head back to the structures and start to run it down bot lane.
And I think that's a good sign of the mindset of Team Liquid right now. They could have just looked to extended siege, try and close this one out, but they make the aggressive play, and now they're trying to break the base.
Nice shock blast, but it does not deter Team Liquid. The damage is not there from Young right now. He's forced to turn away and now in hammer form, so he can't even do much at that point. Inhibitor going down in favor of Team Liquid as Pobelter still on a one-man mission in the mid lane.
Yeah, and TL now looking for this second inhibitor. Probably should reset here with the amount of gold that's going to be in their pockets. Doublelift has over 3K to spend right now.
Closer to 4. So he's a very rich guy, and half of the gold lead pretty much sitting just in the purchase column. But once again, I think that is a very promising sign. I think to pull the trigger, take away the inhibitor, also grab a cheeky turret in the mid lane on the way out. If we can't end on this Baron buff, we'll be able to close much easier with the dual lane break. And once again, they could have sieged, but instead, as soon as Smithy's in behind, they decide to go.
Yep, and the spell shield was used early there by Benny. They know they can go all in. Doublelift diving into the back lines there. The stopwatch buying some time for Benny, but everyone is just getting shredded through, and Mad are able to disengage with just the one death, but many flashes out, the stopwatch used, and their base is broken.
And even in that play, you can see that it's actively Pobelter rotating. He was in the top lane. As soon as everyone goes towards the bottom lane, he goes to the mid lane. He wants to be an active participant. So you can argue right now that the setup out of Team Liquid is looking much cleaner on today's play. The execution has been good, but the other question was, how did their setup look?
Yep, it certainly has been looking good. The boxes have been checked, but you still have to kill the Nexus. And we'll see how quickly they are able to manage that with an inhibitor down, with another open, with a 9,000 gold lead. You have to expect that they should be able to do it quickly.
Easy to say, hard to do, and Mad Team is definitely putting up a big defensive wall. Even with the bot side of the map broken, they have a decent push on the wave for a possible fight, and a little bit of a window to push Team Liquid back out, but it is very small, and it's about to be closed on the fingers of Mad. Doublelift bringing the top wave in. Impact has the Ornn Horn up, and Pobelter will again spread the team slightly thin as he pushes mid.
And you can see Mad Team certainly trying to hold on. You got to remember, the LMS at this Worlds has not had the run they were looking for. Flash Wolves, the #1 seed, falling out prematurely when people would have expected them to have a much better performance. Mad, now the second seed for this region, also struggling to find form. This might be one of their last chances to do so.
Yeah, Mad is going to have to force now. The supers are in the bottom lane. They're going to be onto the Nexus turrets, and this is where it gets so tough. Pressure in 3 lanes coming out from TL.
Team Liquid nicely buying time. This is where you can't make the mistakes. You have to be able to close out the end game. Ornn Horn goes off, and Benny just takes the shot to himself. And that's the inhibitor for Doublelift as they use the pressure just to get a bit of map movement.
Okay, that is well disengaged. There's no major objective on the map for a minute. Cloud Drake you can give over, and they can look to try and push these waves out. Difficulty is now with 2 inhibitors down, and still going to be a minute difference between your bottom inhibitor and the Baron spawn. You need a miracle of a steal if you want to have any hope in withstanding the next siege that comes out.
What a benefit. 3 Cloud Drakes against the team that wants to go fast as Mad. And now Doublelift's going to be able to avoid so much more of what Mad's thrown at.
Cloud Drakes are criminally underrated. I'm telling you.
Absolutely.
We love Cloud Drakes in NA.
What they chased down a whole team on Aurelia yesterday due to Cloud Drakes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that people never really adjusted their perception of it once it became in combat move speed as well. That is certainly something that is very powerful. I mean, you saw for so long how highly rated Swifty boots were, for supports. Well, this is kind of a similar idea. That extra move speed allows you to position properly in the fights, can allow you to chase down fights that you may not be able to get into normally, and also lets you get out of some situations you wouldn't otherwise be able to.
Or get into. Let's go. Try to get into those fight spots. Team Liquid completely denying vision and setting up a beautiful security system on the top side of the map as Baron will be on the menu. It looks like they'll be able to grab that with a table for 2.
And that's a really good way of just setting up a Baron to make sure there's no steal. If you just leave your tank and your AD carry, they walk into Fog of War. You know that they haven't been there in enough time to get vision down for any kind of teleport, any kind of steal coming in from Benny. So Team Liquid, once again, just checking tick boxes off. This is a slow, methodical closeout, but we're still only 32 minutes into the game. This isn't a 40-minute, slugfest by any bonanza, and they have controlled the aggression of Mad. where in a similar fashion, EDG just said, all right, we'll fight you at the same time. TL trying to show a little bit more composure, I think.
Yeah, and I think, it's two teams in a different situation, right? And not only, I think, is TL trying to prove to the community that they can represent and the NALCS well at Worlds, they're trying to prove to themselves that they can really play at this high level, that they can have dominating games, that really can compete with the best teams. And having a clean game here is maybe the first step.
Look, he's on.
I'm gonna say, did Impact want that searing charge? You hooked him right into his volcanic rupture, and he's gonna throw the Oran Horn out as well. The box slightly deterring Team Liquid along with the paranoia. Ole gets locked in, but the shields are big. He's gonna stay alive, and now they're gonna return the damage onto Mad. Benny is down, and the inhibitor on the top side is as well. Minions pouring in on the bottom as Team Liquid is here to stay in the end of the game in their eyes.
And poor Breezy's trying what he can. The rest of the team trying to hold up, but they're just not doing damage.
Ole limping around with a sliver of health in this one. Hasn't even gotten the heal from Doublelift just yet. They'll throw it out for a moment, and a bit of movement speed there to keep him alive. In for Impact. Nothing really gonna come of that one. The Nexus turret does go down. The Winions inside the base right now. Liquid very low on HP, but they're gonna try to dance this one out. Breeze with the auto attack in. Doesn't have the crit to take down Pobelter. 33 minutes into the game, a double kill here for Breeze, but he goes down. Kills from the grave for him. They'll feel good, but not as good as a win. Team Liquid push forward and take down Mad Team.
And they keep their world's hopes alive. Still in with a shot here now. It's going to be all about EDG versus KT and TL versus EDG.
And Team Liquid showing that they can get on the same page, that they can slow the game back down, that they can pick up objectives and close the game out rather cleanly. Still some errors that they would like to address, counter gank top lane, giving up first blood, maybe an over-aggressive invade onto a Raptor camp. But apart from that, this is a team that looks like they're coming into game day 2 much more focused, much more on the same page. Even their game against KT, I think, was an improvement. This shows an additional step forward.
Definitely agree. I mean, when you're comparing this to the first time around that they fought against Mad, it took them a lot longer to be able to close that game out from a similar advantage, and TL taking a well-deserved bow to the crowd there.
And instead of what the team brings forward is the things that are plaguing them to just plague them again, TL seems to have righted the ship on a few of those mentality issues, focusing on themselves, but more so now focusing on the team and how to improve that.
And I think that the veterans, now having better performances, that Doublelift looking for these solo kills, looking to get a little bit more aggressive, even for the mindset and the mentality, it seems to be heading in the right direction.
Absolutely, and let's see what the State Farm Analyst Desk makes of Team Liquid's victory.
Thank you, Riv. The golf clap victory. Team Liquid gets the necessary win over Mad Team to keep their hopes of a quarterfinal spot alive. But it's exactly that, right? Just the game to keep the hopes alive. They haven't done it yet.
Well, we've got 2 horses in this race now. It means the day hasn't been deflated, that it is going to be a decider, we hope, between Edward Gaming and TL.
They are relying on KT taking out EDG in the next game before they face them in the 5th game of the day. I do want to touch on this game, though, and how Team Liquid snagged the victory. I asked you guys to hit me with the one most important thing across the board you wanted to see them change coming into it. A quick reminder, we had Ole on a comfort pick. Did he do it?
Yes, his most played.
We had Don't Get Outscaled. Deficio, did we do it?
Kaiser, Ornn, they outscaled.
Alrighty, and we have Xmithy on a ganking jungler. Jat, did we do it?
I think Olaf counts as far as ganking early game jungler.
All right.
I agree.
All right.
I agree.
So
Great
we
point, Jack.
checked
3 for 3.
most of the boxes.
job, everyone.
But even after we've checked the boxes in the preparation, we still have to execute on it in the game.
Yeah, and I got a little bit scared early because some of the first plays actually were pretty good for Mad. Xmithy didn't have the greatest start to the game, but I did see in the bottom lane, Doublelift started picking up kills, and that's all I needed to stay confident in TL.
I'm just happy to finally see Doublelift enter the game. It feels like a lot of the times he's picked the scaling champion. His team didn't get him into a position where he could actually act, but this time around he came alive.
Check this 1v1.
And it really did pop off in that bot lane.
They got pretty active in lane, and that's the big thing. When he was 2-0 and the enemy bot laner was behind, and then the fact that they actually had a reliable trigger pull that wasn't on Ole was super important. Having impact on the Ornn gave them confidence when they were engaged.
Yeah, I think there's a couple big things. Just as well as we did see that very first play of the role where they get, fall victim to the Nocturne ult. The play that follows in the bot lane was them using that window of no Nocturnal to know that they could go aggressive, something we asked for them to shore up after their loss to KT.
Yeah, and I think with TL, from everything they're saying themselves, with some of the stage issues, everything we've seen as well, it's too late now to make big changes and fix some of the larger issues you have.
It's about Band-Aids.
You just Band-Aid now, and that's you just draft around some of your problems you have. Okay, Ole as the only engage, not working for you, grab the Ornn instead, and you get engaged from top lane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, one of the
get in there.
Band-Aids that I'm actually really excited that I think they have done is Pobelter. I think having these back-to-back games on LeBlanc, and even though the first one didn't turn into a win, Pobelter looks so much better, so much more confident in a side lane, and I love the mobility that it allows Pobelter. A lot of the time, he'll just wander off to a side lane, he's creating a pressure point, and he's picked off and he dies at the worst moment for TL. On a champion like LeBlanc, that's not happening, and it gives him a pocket pick that if this comes down to EDG versus TL, now he has something to contest Scout with.
Yeah, Pobelter was one of the guys we were looking to step up today if Team Liquid was going to make it out of the group. The MasterCard player of the game, though, goes to Doublelift in the bot lane on that Kai'Sa.
Yeah, when Team Liquid wins, it's usually when they're playing around Doublelift with having Doublelift succeed. Kai'Sa as a late game pick. We saw this during the highlight reel as well, able to control side lanes on Kai'Sa, able to control laning phase on Kai'Sa, comboed so well with that Ornn ultimate in team fights. And Doublelift says this himself when he succeeds. He says, when I succeed, it's because the whole team is playing around me. So he's never, in his words, had a team that plays around him this much. And when he can win like that, it's successful. It's just a matter of replicating this performance against the superior teams in this group like EDG and KT.
So, real quick, looking forward to that EDG game. Would you say that all of those same notes that you guys had for this Mad game apply to facing a team like EDG, or does the strategy change there?
I mean, I've watched this team all year, and I've seen them win with the tank engage top and the Doublelift hypercare, and then they're like, but we gotta try to do some other stuff, and then they lose, and then they go back to this, and then they 3-0 the finals.
Right.
So I think it stays exactly the same. I think this team wins one way, and they gotta replicate that.
And I do agree that that's the win condition for TL versus Edward Gaming, but they must survive the early game. EDG are actually one of the weaker team fighting teams in the LPL, but their ability to play the early game and get a lot of leads, expect that the dive is coming, make sure that you have your teleport available, and know that you must protect Doublelift for the first 15 minutes.
Even if EDG are one of the weaker teamfight teams in probably the greatest teamfight region, I am not
pretty
Oh,
good.
stop.
sure that TL late game, if the drafts are equally strong in the late
It's
game,
not a given
will
that Team
actually
Liquid
win.
gets the team fights.
But the point of not getting outskilled definitely still stands because TL are not going to play fast in the early game and like run over EDG.
And listen, Edward Gaming still has the power. They can beat KT and fight for first in this
Right,
group,
then all this is moot.
playing TL is the backup plan for EDG.
Very much so. Again, yeah, Team Liquid facing off against EDG in Game 5. Before that, we have KT against EDG. Before we go to break, Shox is standing by with Team Liquid's support for an interview.
Thank you very much. I'm here with Ole after doing what you had to do to stay in the race, beating Mad. How do you look back on the game? How do you think you did?
I think I died really weird way in Dragon side. Actually, that was so bad. I think I just tried to protect Peter. You know, if he get ahead, he can just carry himself. So yeah, I think I was just focusing on protect Peter.
I mean, it worked out. He carried very hard in that game. Of course, there is a lot of pressure on Team Liquid. You guys do stay in the race. And much like at MSI, everyone is looking at you guys for what you can do for North America. How do you feel you are dealing with the pressure in comparison to MSI at this Worlds?
I think I got confidence, but I feel some kind of weird, like, I don't know, like on stage, like I don't really play like what I play in Scream. Like in Scream, I play with my own, but like on stage, I just turned to be like just follower or didn't really play with my own opinion. So yeah, I think I need to bring, like I have to bring my stuff from Scream to stage, but I feel like still didn't really work out yet. Because I felt that against KT, like I randomly used ult, I just didn't use my skill sometimes, so it's kind of really bad feeling.
I mean, it's bad for now, but luckily, if everything goes well and KT beat EDG, you still have control of everything, but you do have to beat EDG. So what will be the key then to doing that and, well, forcing the tiebreaker and getting to the next round?
I think at MSI, when we were like 0-4, like my mindset was like, we have nothing to lose, even though we lose one more game, it's okay. But yeah, I think that mindset I have to get it right now, because after I start to thinking like that, I was like just playing with my own, just like I'm gonna just play whatever I want. So that's why I think we could turn the table. So I think this time is same.
It's easier than MSI. Then you had to win like 4 in a row. Now you just have to win this one in the tiebreaker. Ole, you saw the miraculous run from C9. Did you take any inspiration from what they did?
I think they give any hope, like even to us, even to like Wonder Thieves. So I really appreciate they just like made that really miracle run. So I really love them.
Okay, well, we appreciate you as well. I give you the best of luck and hope you can play your heart out versus EDG. Thank you very much, Ole. Back over to you guys.